All right, everyone. Good evening. Man, you made it. Some small technical difficulties. All right, this is Rodin, and we're here tonight to do Eve Station Trading, episode 36. So, really cool episode today. We're going to do something a little different, add a new segment, actually, as we're going along through our kind of our normal information here. I wanted to add nullsec imports exports. So, specifically for Providence, so obviously, because that's where I live. Kind of like the same premise of like, well, why are we trading things? What are we trading? But we're going to add on to that. What are we setting to Provi? And what are we taking out of Provi? Based on our operations that we do. Pretty excited. A lot of that stuff should be pretty obvious, to be honest. If you've ever spent time in Providence, I think Providence generally is a pretty good case study for something like this. Because neutrals actually can actually appropriately live in Providence. To be honest, as long as you're not KOS, people will generally leave you alone as long as they're residents anyway. All right, so it's like we're all pretty much ready here. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll start off with our calls from last week. Yeah, you may have to actually refresh Cap. I had to do the same thing several times. All right, so the things that we called out from last week, we called out buys for P4. I try to not call out such large categories, but sometimes I just can't help it. Like I'm doing it again tonight. It is what it is. The PI picture is actually really good at nullsec. It's crazy. All right, P4s. All right, so we call these as buys. They're probably still buys. Yep. Broadcast notes are still a buy. What's making this drop? I'm kind of surprised it dropped again. Got him on the fourth. What's making broadcast notes drop? I'm not sure. The volume's actually quite steady. Is it because there's just simply no action on the sell side and it's just gradually getting down there? That's at least my hypothesis because there's no great change on volume. Okay. Hey Alex, should put Eve on a gaming system. What do you mean, like a console? So broadcast nodes are still a buy, honestly. This has happened several times now. Actually, we call out a buy, but then it gets lower. It's technically still a buy. You may just have to wait a little bit longer to cash out. PS4 Eve on PS4. I don't know from a PvP sense that sounds like it would work, but from the like societal kind of civilization building aspect, I don't think that's going to be the appropriate platform unless PS4 has a pretty good. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter though, does it? Because your comps would be different anyway. Yeah, maybe. Wow, I'm kind of curious if the P4s just kept on dropping. What's making it drop? Volume's not indicative enough to for a sell-off. It looks actually quite gradual. That's interesting. Manufacturers are getting back up there, so we called it would have been right around here. That was the absolute floor for the last 90 days, but then it's coming back up. It's Nanofactors would have been a good call if you're diligent on your orders. I bet you Nanofactors would have been a really good call for you. So let's run on the assumption that you got this at like 1.05 and you're able to sell it somewhere between 1.2 and 1.3. That's actually really good. That's really, really good. Hopefully someone cashed out on that. The organic mortar applicator is going sideways. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure what's depressing the prices on P4s in general. That's really strange. Unless people are just not paying attention and the more natural action actually comes from the buy orders anyway. That's probably what's happening. No one's paying attention to this stuff right now. Recursive, it's a little bit, it's more modest. The sideways movement is a little bit more modest. Self-harmonizing, not so much. Jesus. Wow, this is a really good, man. P4s may be a really good, maybe the next like short-term hot item right now, man. I mean, could this go lower? Let's finish this up and then let's talk about it. Cap saying, "Whoa, never seen the dungeon nowhere near the median." The dungeon's like, oh my god, it's like it's from a visual perspective, the dungeon channel kind of don't let it kind of what's the right word to use here? Don't let it blind you from the rest of the items in the chart, man. Like if I can get usually I don't like using the Danchin, but for the purpose of presentation, it's a nice visual cue as to the limits. That's why I keep it on there. Serial conduits, low still. Where mainframe, it looks like it's coming back up. All right, so like almost all but one of the P4s were either going sideways or continuing to slide downwards. What's making it go that way? So the volume isn't moving in a drastic way, but the price is still going down. So that tells me there's just more natural action on the buy order side, like buy orders are being met. If buy orders are being met, then the charts would reflect that, because the only things that appear on the charts are completed trades, whether it's buy orders being met or sell orders being met. And if it's predominantly buy orders that's being met, then it's gonna look like it's sliding downwards. That's just the way the charts work. Like the chart cannot visually display to you sentiment outside of physically buying the item. It like the charts are completely historical, completed trades. That's all it can tell you. Influence, like I hear sometimes people when they talk about charts, how like they forget that, you know, the only time information will make it to the charts if a trade is completed, whether a buy order is met or a sell order is met. It's not so much where the chart is where the price is going. Charts don't actually tell you where the prices are going. It just tells you where the prices have been. Then it's up to us to figure out, using historical data, where do we think it's gonna go. So you know what I mean. So it's not, the charts in and of itself is not the oracle. We ourselves are still the oracles. This is just our tool. A lot of people kind of put way too much of them, like way too much. Like they bet way too much on these charts, man. Especially the in-game charts, dude. Don't do that. For one, these in-game charts are very, very limited in what they can tell you, because you can't manipulate too much out of it. You can't. Unless you have the raw data to actually plot your own charts. Don't go nuts. Do not go nuts on these. Like, you better have other tools besides just the charts. So that's what I'm thinking is happening right now. That, and people just may not be paying attention right now to these. So what would possess someone to straight up capture P4s from sell orders? Yeah, kind of why Intelinis keep getting it wrong, dude. Right? Right? Like it's like when I talk to people and like especially with our last couple of discussions with the raws and processed movement materials, like what do you mean the price is low? Like dude, the prices are super depressed right now because people pull the trigger way too hard, way too quickly. Science followed by witchcraft, dude. That's just what charting is, man. All right, so how can we? So is P4s? So how come no one's getting P4s from sell orders? People probably aren't buying because it's not very indicative of like the building craze, right? Well, the building craze kind of already happened. They already happened right here. It already happened. The If people are still thinking refineries, dude, like the 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 mania is over. We're actually settling down like very very quickly now. So hopefully no one's going, oh my god, I gotta put all my money on refineries. No, fool. It's over. It's over. We got the next phase, isn't it? Like space boots. What about new agency boosters? You know what? I actually haven't looked into them because I myself I'm not doing stuff from the agency. I don't have personal experience in them. I'd hate to talk about stuff I don't have personal experience in. At least not in depth like that. Cass, I still feel the building so far has been waiting to see how it all works. Yeah, I mean, have there been plenty of building? Yeah. Have there been plenty of installations? That's another key thing, right? People may have like, hey, I have the refineries. It's sitting in my hangar. I just need to install it. But I don't want to install it because PL is gonna take my shit. That's super real though, right? It's a very very real concern. Space Boost, I think they've only released during events like the Crimson thing. Yeah, though I can't. I try not to put too much information, especially seasonal stuff like that, because there isn't going to be a whole lot of history. It's more of a it's something cool. People are interested, but as soon as like about halfway through the events, typically it starts waning. The interest starts waning. Any chance they would go up while they're not being supplied during the downtime between events? It's tough to say, man. Because it's very difficult to draw historical data out of those because they're very short-lived most of the time. Expired the 28th. I mean, those are actually quite good boosters, though. They really, really are. Damage and speed. Ooh, yeah. See, those are good stats, man. Those are good things to have, definitely. All right, so at least that's what I'm thinking about for the. Now, would I buy into them now? Or are they going to continue to go down? I don't have the data in front of me to actually tell you one way or another because the data is so low key. It's kind of it's the volume makes it really difficult to determine if they're done going down. It's hard to say because the volume actually has been pretty consistent throughout the entire downward trend. So there's nothing indicative of it saying, all right, I'm done going down. There's nothing. Not based on how the charts appear right now. And like what would tell me a little bit better if I can actually let's break this down a little more. Let's use self-harmonizing power core. Let's break this down. If I could actually show this to you guys in OHLC form, I probably may have an answer, but I can't do OHLC here. That's open, high, low, close. So that's if you want to look into like really old style charting, seeing it as open, high, low, close will allow you to visualize the daily elements of the chart. We can't do that here because we just do lines in game. But something tells me if I could see this in OHLC, it's probably gonna tell me that's not yet done. Actually, I can tell you it's not yet done. I can tell you that right now. Just changing the resolution actually tells me that. Now, of course, we're only looking at a self-harmonizing power core here. So if you notice, 5-day moving average, the blue line, 20-day moving average, the orange line. The averages of the days are actually below the 5-day moving averages. It's probably not done going down, guys. There's a really good chance, actually, just based on changing the resolution like this, that it's probably not done going down. But if you're okay buying it now, because the price is quite depressed even for a 90-day period, yeah, go for it. Why not? Go for it. If the new probably I have an infinite items. No sensible commander would base decisions on a limited resource. Yeah. Like Space Boots, if the new refineries become less profitable because there's a ton of people building them, and the early demand to fill the high value moon is kind of over, don't you think people will stop building them because profits are slim? No, I think for the most part, I think people don't have the ability. They not the ability, but they can't. They don't care to break down the information like that. Whether it's a good decision to build and install a refinery now. Most people, because we were just playing the game, right? All we wanted to do is like, hey, I just want to engage the content, so I'll build a refinery. A lot of people don't think about profit, man. It's like kind of just the way how things have been going. Mostly because it's pretty easy to make money in the game now, like way easy. Yeah, it is. I don't think a lot of people put too much effort into thinking about planning it like that. I mean, they may think about it in the context of, if I install it, can I get stuff? But a lot of people don't do the math because sometimes they just don't know how to math it out. Or nor do they care most of the time. like I wouldn't care to math it out, to be honest. I was like, oh, I have a refinery. Cool. Alright, so that's our P4 call. Last week we also looked at racial carbides. Looking at racial carbides is going to be interesting because we're calling out a component of these for later. Still a buy. Wow. Still a buy from last week. Crystalline carbide still a buy. Ferrite carbide still a buy. It's a much better, yeah. It looks better poised to actually make a swing. So that's good. Titanium carbide still a buy. Tungsten, we called it right around here. So tungsten actually made up. That's really good. Tungsten made out really good. Comic spaces, there's a lot of hardcore that do what you suppose it. Yeah, no, they are. But there's way more that don't. And those that there's way more that don't. Don't get me started on manufacturing costs. I was like, why did it? That's kind of, well, that's a, yeah, that's a good point, Cap. But a lot of times though, like, it's mostly because it's too easy to acquire those, and just because of race to the bottom. It's so easy to race to the bottom on those tech ones. So easy to race to the bottom. So tungsten carbide was a good call from last week. The rest of them are still buys, to be honest. All right, a buy on Strunt. It's continuing to be a buy. Wow. I don't know enough about Strunt to actually. Is it just really getting mined that much, or just? Yeah, I mean, this is I don't know why there's such an oversupply of this stuff. Is it because there hasn't been any big fights, like really big fights, like wars? I don't know. I'm not quite sure why it's still slipping down, but it looks like it's found a bottom. But It's like it really wants to get lower. It really wants to get lower. Take one magnifies for a set of habits, yeah. You'd think that, like, I don't know, like, I'd like to, I don't know, for the longest time, I thought that people who do industry or trade, like, should be like are really good at math and have that kind of all figured out. But most of them don't. Most of them don't. They're doing. It's a fun activity for them because they can afford to do it. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with like kind of just playing around. I'm buying strong by the bucket load right now, dude. Like I'm pretty discouraged by Strong, to be honest. That I'm sending that sucker to Proby. I don't want to look at it anymore. I'm selling it. I don't care about it anymore. Like, dude, like I'm way behind. It would take me months to recover this. I'd rather just sell it to the people that can find good use for this in Proby land. And Plex, observe Plex. I think that's a good call for Plex. I think it tells me it's a good call. I'm calling injectors this week. It's the beginning of a good call. Right here, man. It just wants to burst up. It just wants to go up. It just wants to. It really, really wants to. This may be the beginning of a good call. What you got there, McSpace Boots? Yeah. Spreadsheets. It's actually a very handsome looking spreadsheet, man. That's really good looking. People analyze the new alpha announcements. I haven't read it myself, but from what I gathered from people's reactions, it's basically alphas getting more choices to buy skill points. Am I wrong in thinking that? More opportunities for microtransactions for skill points. All right, so those are all our buys. We're gonna go over our sells now. We call the Amitat Tech 2s for sells. Not very. I don't know. Not the whole lot of these. I'm not a cap pilot like that. Amitab 2s for sells. Good call. It hung up in there. It hung in there, man. Wow, that's amazing how hard it hung in there. That's good. Good call. Expensive, but well, I mean, if people have the ability to farm SP without investing too much in Plex, then it might drop prices. Um, Most PCP doesn't care about where the Plex price actually lands for the most part. It's an assumption of mine that a lot of Plex demand is still with skill farm. I don't know. I don't know about that. I imagine. I think Plex demand is generally on the utility and the ability to get ISK from it in a very general way, right? Not necessarily SP farming, but like, oh, I don't want to farm, but I really want to be in Fleet next week. I think I'm gonna buy some Plex. I think I'm gonna not go to Starbucks this week and buy Plex. So Amitai was a good call. It hung up in there on the sell zone. Next one's the tier thing. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Ooh, it dropped. That sucker dropped hard. That must have been that's definitely a missed opportunity. So we called it a sell, but then it immediately corrected. So that could have been dangerous. Next one's a rattlesnake. Same thing. It went through its cycles. We call it out here. So the opportunities didn't last very long. But I can't remember the last time rattlesnakes were actually this cyclical. It's pretty interesting. It's really interesting. There might be there's if this keeps up, there's definitely some really good opportunities to catch this out on a weekly basis. I use it as a bank. Yeah, I would if I could. And the last item, Tech 3 Cruiser. Tech 3 Cruisers have been like super low-key good buys. Super low-key. Great buys. And a lot of people missed it because people people had their blinders on the Tech 2 stuff. People forgot about Tech 3's existing. It's good for us, right? Sometimes those opportunities just show up. All right, Legion's still up, so that would have been a good item to sell. Tengu went sideways. That's okay. Hopefully, that a better opportunity will show up here. Prody is steadily climbing up. It's got a really hard ceiling though. That's interesting. Loki hanging in there. Hanging in there. Alright, so those are all our calls from last week. So pretty good opportunities there. It's definitely been more challenging finding calls, that's for sure. Alright, so I just want some quick self promo for myself. So I made a video over the weekend going over my import-export kind of plans for Providence. And it's very similar to my previous video, but I think I definitely went a little bit more detail in this one. And just disclaimer, I did make a comment in there. I'm like the first comment in that video, making some corrections on jump bridges and jump raiders. So there's that. I'll definitely own up to that one. That was me. But besides that, I hope that video actually offered a fairly reasonable primer for how to think about import-export plans for nullsec. Actually, I'm like really all in on the idea, and I definitely want to share it with you guys. I don't have a good way to present it on stream, but I'm actually gonna go over the things that I'm gonna be intending to. I'm literally in the middle of importing and exporting, so we'll go over that. So these are the things, and we'll go over how it appears in JITA. But I did make a note of how much they cost in Provi. Okay, so these are the things I'm importing. I literally have this. Actually, is it in this character? I think it's on this character. Yep, some of these items are in this character. You guys see that? Yep. So it's on this character. I'm starting to move stuff, and we'll go over all these. All right, Imperial Navy Praetors. So Providence, Amar type rats. Imperial Navy Praetors are it's basically the drone of choice there, because you have alphas can use it. For sure, alphas can use it. Or maybe not, or at the very least, like low SP characters, ratting characters can use it. Alright, so right now, Imperial Navy Praetor. So all these I captured from buy orders, alright? So I can capture it at 3.2 million. And in Provi, I can sell it for 4.9. So 3.2 to 4.9, let's do some quick math on that. Wow, that's 35% before taxes. So a 35% margin before taxes, if you factor in your, assuming you're using a jump freighter, or even if you're having someone curry it for you, so 35% difference before any other added cost. So that seems like a pretty good thing to import, right? Yeah, man, it's huge. Hey, Cap, do you have access? Do you have one of your characters have access to Providence? I think most people do, to be honest. So that's a good call for import. The volume's not gonna be there. Like, if I that's one thing I gotta figure out how to present this to you guys. I might have to. I'm not sure because if I have both windows up or both clients on the same screen, it's just too small to see. All right, so there's that. Another item I'm to go along with the Navy Praetor, Imperial Navy Praetors, is the Vexor Navy issue. Basically, Vexor Navy issues are like, it's like Ishtars back in the day, right? Like everybody had an Ishtar. Vexor Navy issues are cheaper and more, and dare I say more effective, to be honest, considering the cost. You have a fighter in Ace's Saloon. Nice. All right, so Vexors I can get for 57 mil in Gita. So for the premise of this import export business model, it's Jita to Pravi, not Amar to Pravi for my case. All right, I'm doing Jita to Pravi. So I can capture Vexor Navy issues 57 and sell it in Pravi for 67, 57 to 67. So that's 15% before taxes. To kind of give you an idea of like, hey, is that a good margin for import? Personally, I attribute 5% to fuel costs one way. But since I'm the one operating my own jump freighter, I have to correct 10% because I have to go back and forth, right? Cap. So there's, for me personally, I have to correct 10%. If not, I just don't think it's worth it. It's too slim to be between 5 and 10. If I yield profits above 10%, then I know a back and forth trip would have yielded something, would have yielded net profit. Okay. So that's just me how I'm gonna do my math because that's just how. That's the cost of flying a RIA, of fueling a RIA, on based on the ranges of where I'm actually jumping my stuff in, right? Advanced component. Yep, we are gonna get IM2 Pro. We are gonna go over the advanced component plates. We're just going over as soon as we're done with our segment on imports and exports. It's actually not that long. Okay. All right, so that's a Vexor. Next item we're gonna put in is helium isotope. This is less profit and more of I just kind of want to help out. It's a very popular isotope that's actually needed in Pravi. This is the Amar type, right? All right, so I can get the helium isos for 630, and I can sell it in Jita. I'm sorry, in Pravi for. So this looks weird. The highest buy in Pravi is 750, and the lowest sell is 719. It's backwards. Why is it backwards like that? I don't know. It's people don't look at the thing when they try to sell it. I think they just look at the first window and just face roll numbers in there. I think that's honestly what people do sometimes. But we'll go with that. Actually, we'll go 750. They can dump this right into a buy order that's available there for 750. Let's do that. I don't know. It's weird, man. $16%. It's good. That's good. You're literally dumping into a big buy order that's there right now. All right, next. We're getting into controversial areas now here. Now, Mexalon, I'm calling it as an import because it's actually a personal need of mine. I collected about, I think, almost 9 billion ISK worth of minerals, and I did my first set of builds. And after building, it's like a small order. It's like 44 ferroxes or something. They're small. That's small, man. It sounds like a lot, but it's not. I built 44 ferroxes. I have tons of like the low end still, tons, but I'm short on Mexalon. It's actually not a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea to import Mexalon into Pravi unless it's for your own personal builds. That's just me. That's my own personal builds. I'm importing Mexalon. Let's take a look at it anyway. All right, so I can get Mexalon for 65, and in Pravi, it's one of those oddball ones again. You see this a lot for minerals, where people are literally just trying to get rid of it on sell. They want to just give it. So the lowest sell in Pravi is actually lower than the highest buy in Jita. So right now the highest. So right now in Jita we can get the Mexalon for 65. In Providence, someone is selling a small, not a crazy amount, but a small amount of it for 60. Yeah, I'm importing Mexalon for the purpose of my builds, not for resale. Oh, Cap, yeah, I actually replied to him. I replied to him like, oh, I'm actually doing like an import-export section for Providence. It's an insta sell situation, Cap. It's an insta sell situation. It's not in great volumes, but like in my first week there, I literally I corrected Providence in my first week. It didn't take long. It only cost me like 4 bill to do it. Super cheap for that kind of influence. Super cheap. And Noxium, same story for Noxium. I can get it for 306, and in Providence I can actually. There's actually lower buys in Pravi for Noxium, 300, and it's actually really close. 306 buy, 317 sell in Jita, and for Providence 300 buy, 318 sell. So yeah, pretty close, but a lot of the Noxium is just. I don't see enough of it in volume in market, so I have to import for myself. That really is what it's for. Those are all our imports. For exports, low class PI. What do you mean by low class PI? You got Nox? Dude, I will buy from you right now, Cap. Like right meow. Right meow. For exports now, we're getting something from Providence and taking it back to Empire. Or further manufacturing, whatever it is, but we're farming out of Pravi and doing something with it. Right from the get-go, low-class PI, P1s specifically P1s. And I'm going to use just one example, but this pattern kind of follows. It repeats itself quite often. Okay, so we'll look at chiral structure. I have tons of this stuff. Most of my exports are actually going to be PI. So from Pravi, I was able to, using buy orders, get chiral structures for around 600, right around there. Actually, closer to between 6 and 700. Okay. And I can, let's be generous, let's say 700. And I'm gonna dump it right into the buy orders, 845. That's an 18% gain. Buy to buy. It's pretty good. Buy to buy, 18%. Yes, I can do that, but I'm in dead in MR space. High sec? Oh. Oh my god, high sec. I don't know. I'll see. Maybe. Maybe. I do have a transporter out there. Alright, so buy to buy, Chiral structures, 18% margin. It's pretty good. Really good. That's really, really good. And this is gonna sound weird. If I can get, well, I could. I don't intend to, but I could export pyrite. Hear me out on this. Hear me out on this. So, okay. So how much have I been getting my pyrite from Provi? I've been getting my pyrite from Provi from sell orders. People, yeah, I'm capturing it directly from sell orders at around between 250, 275. 2.5, 2.75. Okay. If I dump that into buys, I literally have billions of ISK worth of pyrite that I captured between 2.5 and 2.75 on sell. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why it's like that. So let's do some quick math on that. Let's be generous and say I got it 2.75. And I'm gonna dump it to the highest buy order right now in JITA. It's 4.87. That's 44% margin. 44% margin from buying all the cheap. There's a lot of orders like this. You just have to if you're diligent, if you're willing to pick it up all throughout Providence, you can make a killing doing this, which I have. So you can. So right now, I from sell orders in Providence, I capture between 2.5, 2.75 pyrite. I can dump it into the buy orders in JITA right now for 44% margin. Am I tired of picking stuff up? I literally spent the last 6 days in my jump freighter consolidating all these damn minerals, Cap. Oh my god. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't want to just dump it like that, but it's really attractive to just dump it. It's really attractive to just dump it. It really, really is. I don't know but I know that if I'm strapped for cash, I know that I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna feel comfortable just dumping it if I'm super strapped for cash. I was like, pyrite, go to JITA. Go to JITA, all of you. So there's that. So that's the import export picture that I'm trying to. Yeah, it's liquid disk. Liquid disk. So that's the import export that I'm intending to. I'm in the middle of actually doing right now. All right, so now we're gonna go for our picks of the week. All right, buys geckos. Dude, geckos look so good right now. Geckos look so good. Lowest point in 90 days, or it's mirroring lowest points in 90 days. If you're willing to play geckos, I'd be willing to play geckos. Lowest price in 90 days? Yes, please. Yes, please. So let's play around with that. Let's say 76, right? Let me get it right now. 77. Okay, 77. 77 to I don't know, 87. 77, 87. That sounds pretty reasonable. It's 12% for something like geckos. That's pretty good. That's really good. Where are these geckos coming from? I know I've asked this before. I'm just astonished at the available volume of this thing. Absolutely astonished. Where does it come from, man? I don't know. It's like stuff from Christmas elves, man. I don't know. Alright, geckos for buys. Next one will be large scale injectors. So, and you'll see this every time we call a plex. There's a 99.9% chance the following week we're gonna call injectors because they follow each other. They follow each other. Okay, so large scale injectors. It's the beginnings, man. It's still on buys. It's still on buys. But then it's getting really. Today it finally cracked into sell zone, but it's still like it's the first day though. I think it's still worthwhile again. If you can capture that say 780, say 780, it's still available. Dude, it's like 772 right? Dude, I totally get this. Yeah, man. Yeah, because that's the bottom. That's the bottom end of that movement. 770s. Yeah, totally. And if you can cash out at say 800, let's do that. Just under 4%, assuming you're doing this trade in a near 0% Fortizar. That's not bad. That's not bad. Pro CCP secretly seeding geckos. I don't know, maybe. I don't know, man. Like, where the hell are these geckos coming from? Cav's like, I know there's a small corp of stealth ninja drone hunters who scoop them. Really? Who would allow their geckos to be scooped like that? That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. All right, so that's the picture for large scale injectors. I think it's worthwhile to buy into it right now. You gotta be diligent on offloading it. And last call for buys: advanced component plates. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that? Component, advanced components. Not every single one of these. I think 3 of these are good right now. Tungsten carbide, we might have missed out on it. That's okay. That's okay. Titanium diborite armor plate. It's moving sideways on the low end, man. I think it's worthwhile to do it. And it's doing it on added volume as well. We'll go lower. I don't know if it's gonna go lower. It's been sideways for a while though. So do what you will with that piece of information. It's going sideways for a while. But basically, it's on average lower price right now. So maybe worthwhile to pick these up. Crystalline carbonite armor plate, definitely hanging low in there. I think it's really worthwhile to get this right now, to be honest with you. It's pretty, like, it has, well, it's, like, it sits in this low end, but then it would just have these really short spikes of high value. It's maybe an opportunity. Fortnite carbide, same thing. It looks like it's about to go the other way, but something tells me this is just gonna go sideways. The downward trend of the 20-day moving average is quite aggressive. I think it's gonna go sideways. All right, so those are our buys for the week. Now I'm going to call out our sells. First one's going to be the Golem. I haven't called out Marauders in so long. So long. It looks good right now though for sells. I don't know if anyone has any on stop. Caldari one going sideways. Let's take a look. I think most of these were Caldari. Titanium diborite. Yeah, it's totally going sideways. It's been sideways for a while. Very, very narrow sideways at that. Like the Donchian channel is actually like non-existent. It's almost as if, well, let's see how many orders are being filled. That's actually hefty orders. It's not a lot of variation in the orders. Yeah, it's going sideways. The Caldari one, titanium. Yep. All right. Next one will be cells for Marauders, the Golem specifically. I'm not sure what this is about. Really not sure what all this is about. Why this? It's not demand. Because the volume is like super low. It was brought on, so 3 days ago. There was 34 of these suckers sold. Why would there be 34 golems sold? From cells. 34, predominantly, probably most of those orders were filled off a cell. Why? Why golems? Why golems? I don't even think they were touched this last patch. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what this is about. I'm not really sure what this is about. But it's increased in value. If you have some, or you have one and you're not using it, and you want to liquidate, now may be a good time to liquidate. You sell it for, wow, that's high, 1.7. I used to trade this between 1 and 1.1, but to see it at 1.6, 1.7 like this, that's really impressive. That's really, really impressive. Cast a lot of Twitch streams and YouTube in the last week with rockety stuff, maybe. But golems, though? That's a really expensive thing to be flying out there for a stream. Because you're running on the assumption that you're going to get sniped. Like, I wouldn't. No way. No way, man. Unless I'm getting sponsored by I1ISK or something like back in the day. Jesus Christ. Yeah, but golems increase value. If you have them on stock, you're not using it, you want to liquidate, now's a good time. Next one's called Dari Navy Large Shield Extender. This is strange because usually you don't see a lot of action on large shield extenders. Usually it's medium. That's pretty strange. Yeah, man, it's up there. And it definitely helps that Caldari Faction Warfares are at tier 1 right now, so their LP is more valuable. I'm kind of surprised that people are choosing this as a platform to cash out versus medium shield extenders. Well, not ships, just the blingy rockety missile things. Oh, okay. So if you have a lot of Caldari LP, you want to cash out on this item. Be good for you. Alright, and finally, Imperial Navy Slicers. It's literally been months since I called a slicer. Months. Glad to be able to call it again. I love that ship. I enjoy that ship. But I suck flying it. Skill ceiling on that thing is pretty high. Pretty high for me, at least. It's up there, man. And kind of same story. Amar Faction Warfare Tier 1 definitely helps promote the increased price of this item. Great graphics for streams. Makes sense. Alright, So those are our calls for the week. Went over imports, exports. I gotta come up with a better way to maybe I'll just use actually the bottom part of our overlay here, and I'll just swap it up between buys and sells of the weeks and to imports, exports, and just have a transition of some sort. If someone is like really knowledgeable with how to use like OBS and help out with overlays, I could really use some help. I'm just saying. All right, so I think that was really good, guys. I think we called out some pretty, not necessarily off the wall stuff, but I'm Super 08. I live in Black Rise. I love Black Rise. I lived there for years, man. I still kind of live there. Home factory. Yep. Do you think there's a market there to take advantage of? Mainly export, import. I can really. You know what? I thought that for the longest time when I first got there until I joined. I'm so bad, but I joined one of the larger entities in Valente Faction Warfare actually, and their in-house, their ability in-house to keep their people stocked up with ships and modules is actually really, really good. That the general market, it seems like the general market is non-existent, because it is, because a lot of people will just a lot of the market stuff, a lot of the economy that you otherwise would see at the regional level actually happens in-house. So so as far as exploiting a market like that, that's a tough one, man. I think you're actually better off looking into what do the larger capital wielding entities need, because they're going to be the big spenders in there, not necessarily the guys who derp Atrons, you know what I mean? So like things like fuel, Straunt, liquid ozone, Sinos, things like that, man. It's like, because low sec, it really fits the bill as far as like that midway point, right, between high sec and null sec. So it's Eve's truck stop. So what do you sell in the truck stop? Fuel. But besides that, I mean, you could even if say you could create a market in there, especially for faction warfare, you wouldn't be able to do it in a station unless you're talking about something like Ichiria or Heck. You'd actually have to use a public Fortizar, so that to be able to accommodate as much customers as possible, right? You can't, you know what I mean? Otherwise, you're kind of limiting yourself. 100 Sinos going cheap. Shit. Can't, man. I lost count how many Sinos I lost, like moving stuff around all week, man. It's ridiculous. All right, I think that's really all I got, guys. I'll get this up to YouTube probably by tomorrow. I really should get into the habit of having at least one listen before I put it out there. But if there's any questions, feel free to hit me up in game, either on Rodin or Robro, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. I can definitely field questions to present to everybody. And yeah, that's all I got. I really gotta work on some. I don't know. Maybe I should like start working on thumbnails and stuff like that. I gotta get it with the times with better graphics and whatnot. All right, so hopefully someone out there is gonna make a lot of money out of our calls. That'd be great. And yeah, don't be afraid if you wanna check out the market in Provi. Check it out, man. As long as you're not KOS or kill on site, you can play at the same level that I do, and I'm a full-on resident there. Hey, Cosmic. A little late to the party, but what's your opinion on Plex price? Think they are still going to climb? From how they appear right now, yeah, they have no choice but to climb. They definitely have no choice to climb. They have no choice but to climb because it's on the low end of the cycle. Yeah, definitely. Especially as we get closer and closer to winter, people start playing and people start needing cash. Yeah, definitely. is right now a better time to buy it? Let's take a look at it. Called it as a buy last week, so it's actually it's selling now. That's a better sell now, but it's gonna go back to its cycle, man. It's very cyclical, like probably in 30-day cycles. Yeah, no problem, Cap. I think CCP will release Plex reserves. I don't think they're in the habit of doing that now. They just do like a ridiculous amount of consecutive Plex sales. That's really what that's really that's the modus operandi, man. Plex sales. So to do things in Provi, is it possible to just play the export-import market there without being in the corp? Yep, you sure can. As long as you have access to the main market in Providence is an outpost. It's not a Fortizar. It's an outpost. As long as you're not KOS, you can access those same facilities. But if you really want to do the big stuff, like big contracts, you gotta do it at the Fortizar. So like, contracts for capitals, things like that. All right, well, thanks, guys. We'll definitely improve on developing our ideas for imports and exports, and hopefully we can start kind of building our history of doing that. And it's nice to share the information, you know what I mean? Because then it makes the market gameplay a lot more fulfilling for everybody. Last main outpost, it's in F Tech Y. It's FY Tech, sorry, FY Tech. If you're looking at the Providence map, it's actually, let me look at it real quick, make sure to give me the right system name. It's literally in the middle of the Dotland map, like literally. Just about. That's FTech Y H5B. There's one single outpost in there. That's the main hub. All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. Hopefully, I can see some of you guys over there plying your trades in Providence. All right. I'll definitely get the video up by tomorrow. I'll give it one quick listen before pushing it out. All right. Thanks again, guys.